At last, Johnson on the Gregory boat is nearing the Magic Island. But Johnson will arrive at the island as a prisoner and not a rescuer. Jerry and Joan were ordered to go in the Euclidean submarine and aid in the capture of Johnson's boat, while the captain and Mrs. Gregory have seen and heard all that took place in the submarine through the wonderful prism reflectors in G-47's control chambers. The submarine is towing the Johnson boat, which has run out of fuel. They are only a few miles from Euclidia, the Magic Island. Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford are now back on their captive yacht, inside a lock in the submerged island. The alarm gong on the island has been ringing, and Mrs. Gregory and Tex are trying to learn the meaning of the signals.
There it is again, Tex. The same signal we heard before.
Yes, Pat, but the last time we heard it, it meant to standby stations. Then they submerged this island.
Well?
The island's all the way down now. The surface of it is 40 feet below the water level. They can't submerge it anymore.
Just the same, there's the signal. Oh, Tex, I'm getting so worried down here in this dark lock. It was better in G-47's control room. At least we could see and hear what was going on. And we knew that Joan and Jerry were all right in that submarine.
Jerry and Joan are all right, whether we watch them or not.
Is this radio all right now?
It works fairly well, but it wouldn't be a good idea for us to try sending with it.
I didn't mean that, Tex. Just so it works well enough that we can hear Johnson if he talks to Jerry in the submarine.
Poor Johnson. I'll bet his face was a study when that sub picked up his bow anchor with a magnet and started to tow him to this island.
Doesn't it seem strange to you that Johnson hasn't sent any message since that?
I don't think so. There's nothing for him to send one about. It's just the end of a good try on his part, and he's failed. I imagine he doesn't feel a whole lot like talking to anyone.
Tex, 4 strokes of the alarm gong. That should mean the 4th level. The island's going up again.
I think you're right, Pat. That must mean that the battleships are all safely out of the way. Johnson's boat is near enough that they're getting the island out of the water so the submarine can land the captive boat at one of the piers.
Then Joan and Jerry will be back with us again. I won't care much what happens if I can only keep them near me all the time.
Yes, and once I get Johnson on this island with the materials he has on that boat, it shouldn't take us long to figure a way out of this.
But G-47 will take the materials away from you the minute the boat lands.
Oh, will you quit worrying so much, Pat? We'll get off this island if it takes a year. Now, just try to take it easy and leave the rest to me.
The 3rd level, Tex. We're really going to get up out of this awful dark at last.
Looks like it. I hope they let us take the yacht back out into the open water between the piers again. I don't like this living in a hole underwater myself.
That's right. G-47 may not want the yacht outside again.
I don't think he'll object to that. Doesn't look much like we'd run away with a broken mast and these smashed cabin roofs.
And will we be allowed to remain on the yacht?
G-47 said we could. He hasn't room for us to live on the island and no time to build quarters for us.
Remember that the aerial is broken, and when the anchor leaves the floor of this steel lock, the radio won't work anymore.
Well, just as soon as we get outside in the open air again, I'll fix up an aerial fast enough. 2nd level, huh? Things sure move on this island.
Only another minute or two, and the top of the island will be out of the water.
Yes, and if we don't hear from G-47 pretty soon about getting this yacht out of this lock, I'll go and ask him.
And that's probably G-47 now.
I suppose it is. Come in.
Oh, well, Skipper, come in.
And close the door. Island. What about the island? Rising.
Yes, Skipper, we know. The island will soon be out of the water.
Have you heard whether we're to be allowed to take the yacht out of this lot?
Yep.
We are to be allowed to take it out?
Aye.
How did you find out this?
The 1st level. Then the steel control chambers on the surface are coming out of the water now. We'll soon be out.
Aye.
Did G-47 tell you we could take the yacht back out?
Yep.
Has he been down here on this boat talking to you?
Aye.
Funny he didn't call on us, isn't it, Tex?
Will.
He's on the boat now?
Aye.
Well, what's he doing here?
Looking.
Looking at what, Skipper?
Anchor.
What's he looking at our anchor for?
Radio.
Oh, of course, Tex. He's figured out that the broken aerial wires mixed up in the anchor chain have given us a good aerial.
Yeah, and he's probably doing something to it right now, so it won't be any good. Send him in here, Skipper, will you?
Aye.
And don't tell him you've told us he's on board.
Aye.
So, the old boy's been sneaking around out there on the deck looking things over.
I wouldn't worry too much about that, Tex. He told the skipper we could take the yacht out and anchor it in open water again.
Well, I hope it's right away, then. I've got a notion something's going to happen before very long.
This will be G-47.
Yeah. Come in.
Oh, G-47. Come in, won't you?
Oh, thank you.
We've been wondering if you wouldn't pay us a visit before long. The island seems to be rising again, and we'd like to take the yacht back outdoors, if you don't mind.
You will be allowed to take the yacht out again. It will make Mr. Johnson feel more at home to be welcomed by his friends.
Yeah, some welcome. One prisoner welcoming another to jail.
Never mind that now, Tex. Will Johnson's boat be brought in at Pier 5? Will it lie near us?
I think that will be advisable. Then, when the time comes for the destruction of these boats, it will be simpler if they are in contiguous slips.
Destroy them?
Steady, Pat. I expected that remark.
The lock gates are opening now, if you care to listen.
Oh, Tex, listen. The gates are open. The water levels in the locks are evening up.
Sounds good to me. I've had enough of this dark lock.
Tex, look, the portholes. You can see the daylight even back here in this lock.
Now, the magnets are beginning to actuate this craft. We will soon be in the outer slip.
J-12C, Jerry Hall on Euclidean submarine to J-12C. Hello, J-12C. Hello, Johnson.
There's Jerry in the cell.
Oh, it's good to hear him again.
Silence. We must hear this.
Hello, Johnson. Hello. Calling J-12C. What's the matter, Johnson? We have not been able to raise your boat since we started towing you. Have important orders for landing your boat at Euclidia when we cut loose our magnets at the island.
Advise Johnson, there is every possibility his boat will be wrecked on the island if he does not acknowledge and carry out these special orders.
J-12C. Hello, J-12C. This is emergent. Answer at once.
Will this transmitter work, Captain?
It will if your magnetic ring doesn't stop the beam.
It will not. Break Hall at once. Try to speak Johnson. Hurry. The time is precious.
Right. Break it, Hall. Break it, Jerry. Bradford on J24Y, calling Johnson on J12C. Let me have it, Jerry. I will now send from the yacht to Johnson. Special orders. G47 on board yacht. Let me have it, Jerry.
Okay, Tex. Hello to yacht. All okay here. Go ahead, Tex. I can't raise Johnson. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jerry. Hello, Johnson. Bradford to J12C. Hello, J12C.
Something must have happened to Johnson's radio.
You will continue, Captain.
Right. J24Y to Johnson on J12C. Hello, Johnson. This is important. Can you hear me? Your boat is in danger of being wrecked against a steel artificial island unless you talk to the commander of the submarine who is towing you. Get her instructions before she casts your anchor off her magnetic towing fin. J12C, calling J12C.
What can be the matter, Tex?
Hello, Bradford.
Oh.
Hello. Can you get me?
Oh, Tex, it's all right.
Hey, Tex. I got Johnson here. Can you hear him?
Yes, I got him, kid. Let me have the channel now. Hello, Johnson. Getting you fine. What happened? No message from you for so long.
Sorry, Captain. My set has been dead. Was not advised we would be towed by magnets, and they paralyzed the set. When I heard the word magnet very faintly, I set about making a crude shield to the set. Okay now. What's the orders?
Tell him to take his orders from the commander of the submarine.
Hello, Jerry. J24Y to Jerry Hall on submarine. Hello, Sub.
Okay, Tex. Go ahead.
G47 authorizes me to tell you Commander of Sub is to give orders directly to Johnson. That all, G47?
Have the commander advise me speed and distance from island.
Commander, Bradford to S1.
Yes, proceed, Captain Bradford.
Will you give orders to Johnson, then report to G47 on your position and speed?
Very good. S1 to Johnson. S1 calling J12C.
Go ahead, S1. Johnson on J12C. Ready, S1. Go ahead.
We are 15 knots from island. Stand by when within 1 knot of island. I will cut magnets off. You will be released directly opposite opening into slip you are to use. Have you auxiliary power on board to take yourself in? Last few hundred yards. Reply.
Johnson to submarine commander. Have small electric motor. Should be good for 2 miles or more. Uncharged. Now in batteries. What about this island slip? Have received some wild messages supposedly from there. Is the island surrounded by fog ring? Will I need pilot?
No, your power will be clear. That is all, Johnson. G-47. Commander S1 to G-47.
Proceed, Commander.
Making 10 knots. Position due north of island. 28 degrees, 45 minutes south. Should be at Pier 5 in 90 minutes. Orders.
No orders. Proceed as you are. Your instructions to Johnson, excellent. That is all.
Very good.
Just an hour and a half and Johnson will be here. I'm glad to see him even if he can't help us. I'll be more than glad to get Jerry and Joan out of that submarine.
Oh, that'll help a lot.
You may expect me again when the boat is near. You may now use your radio as much as you care to.
Tex, look. That's sunshine. Let's go out on deck.
Right, dear. Come on. A little daylight won't do me any harm.
Oh, this is glorious. I've never appreciated the light as I do this minute.
Shows up that broken mast and the shattered cabin pretty badly, though. Say, that little pigeon was in his coat when the mast fell.
Oh, I wonder if he's hurt.
We'll know in a minute. Pat, come here. Look in the coat, quick.
Oh, Tex, the little bird isn't hurt, is it?
No, but Pat, look.
Tex, another pigeon in there, with a message tied to him. He must have arrived the instant the yacht came out.
Yes, and that's one of the pigeons from Johnson's boat. We've still got a chance, Pat. There'll be something in that message we can use before Johnson's boat is brought in here.
The Magic Island is once more visible above the surface of the sea. That is, it's visible when the ring of magnetic fog is not surrounding it. The Euclidean submarine has brought the captured rescue boat with Johnson and the crew helpless on board to within a short distance of the island. Captain Tex Bradford and Mrs. Gregory are anxiously awaiting the arrival of Johnson's boat, as they know something about Johnson which no one else knows. They received a message by homing pigeon just before the submarine arrived with Johnson's boat in tow. Jerry and Joan are talking in the submarine as it prepares to cast off Johnson's boat.
Oh, boy. We're nearly back to the island, Joan.
Yes, Jerry. And when we do get back, your Mr. Johnson will be a prisoner, and my mother's other boat will be tied up to the island just as useless as her yacht is now.
I know all that, but this fellow Johnson's plenty smart, and he might have a trick or two up his sleeve that the Euclideans don't know anything about.
I can think of nothing favorable now.
Well, for one thing, remember what I told you about this woman commander on the submarine? She'll be on our side if she sees a chance to get to the world with us.
Now, Jerry, that is silly. Just because she was interested in hearing about my mother's beautiful clothing and some of the things in your world, that does not mean
It means that she's willing to listen when I talk about how swell our world is. And if she listens long enough, and if she'll only come out and meet your mother, it's in the bag.
In the bag? What is in what bag?
I mean, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Your name on the dotted line. Oh, well, never mind. I'll tell you some other time.
It would be well to postpone any further discussion of your commander until she is unable to hear you.
Gee whiz. I forget about that blamed speaker thing all over the submarine.
You forget so many things, Jerry.
Precisely. Now, Hall, you will maintain silence during the next operation. Absolute silence.
Yes'm. Very good, Commander.
SE-1.
Yes, Commander.
Drop the charge in the stern magnetic fin. Release the anchor of that boat immediately.
Right. Release anchor.
Well done. Set your course in a small circle. Cut speed to 3 knots. We will circle and escort this boat to Pier 5.
Speed now 3 knots. Circle with a radius of 100 yards.
Correct. Distance from island?
500 yards.
Approximately?
No, exactly 500 yards at point dropped anchor tow.
Excellent. Continue circle to position paralleling port side of boat. Lay to at his speed. Conduct him to starboard slip, Pier 5.
Very good.
S1 to G47. Commander S1 to G47. Reporting submarine ES1.
All those letters make me hungry for some alphabet soup.
Oh, Jerry, you must be quiet.
G47 receiving your report, S1. Proceed.
Dropped anchor tow 500 yards due north of Pier 5. Johnson boat will use small motor and interslip under his own power. Think not advisable to take the ES1 into Pier 5 slip with Gregory yacht there now. We are just completing circle to pick up boat and convoy it to Pier 5. We'll then proceed to dock ES-1 in regular submarine berth number 6. That is all. S-1 to G-47.
Well executed, SE-1. Report immediately upon arrival. That is all. G-47 to S-1.
You, Hall, and you, Cleostra, maintain your positions in the stern section. I will join you for special orders regarding your actions when we arrive at the island.
Look, Joan. She's turned off the speaker gadget so we can't be heard all over the boat.
What can that be for, Jerry?
She's going to tell us something she don't want old Stoneface up there to hear.
Oh, Jerry, that ridiculous idea of yours that the commander is friendly to us will get us into very serious trouble if you're not careful.
Well, leave it to me, Joan. I'll fix it.
Fix it? Is something broken, Jerry?
Look, I'll sell her the idea. Put over the deal. Oh, forget it. Just listen and you'll get the idea.
Even though I made it possible for you to talk in comparative comfort, Hall, it should not be necessary for you to shout.
I'm sorry. Golly whiskers.
Jerry, the commander will not know what you mean by that terrible slang.
You are right in a measure, Cleostra. To understand the gibbering sounds which Hall uses as a method of expression, one would of necessity revert to the educational standard of the Stone Age. But the forceful gestures and grotesque manipulations of the facial muscles which accompany his outbursts reveal his meaning quite plainly.
I get it. The words are too much for you, but the music strikes a responsive chord.
You see, Commander, Jerry does know how to use big words when he wants to.
A more frequent desire would do him credit.
Well, look, Commander, I don't want to break up your class, and if you feel like having some fun with me when I'm stuck where I can't help myself, okay. But if you've got those special orders you were talking about, we'd better get them before we hit the island.
Jerry, you should not suggest the commander's procedure.
It is quite all right, Cleostra. I have no orders to give either of you, but I have a few words of advice which you would do well to follow.
Oh, sure. Advice is what we want plenty of. What's on your mind?
Jerry means, to what advice did you have reference?
I had made the translation myself, Cleostra. And the more I hear of this young man's free manner of speaking and his obvious ignorance, the greater is my curiosity to learn something further of the world outside.
See? What did I tell you, Joan? What did I tell you?
Now, Jerry, please.
Well, Cleostra, what did he tell you?
I think it would not be wise to repeat it.
Very well. You tell me, Hall.
Well, gee, to come right out and tell you, it's not so easy, but, well, I'll try.
Please do not, Jerry.
Silence, Cleostra. You may proceed, Hall.
Well, I guess this puts me in plenty bad if I'm wrong, but I got to figure that you're on our side.
I am not sure I follow you.
I mean that you're not so crazy about all this Euclidean stuff, acting like a bunch of machines and talking about going out and conquering the world. A beautiful girl like you, commanding the submarine, thinking of going across the ocean one of these days and blowing up somebody's country. Why, you ought to be like girls back home, going out to dances and parties and seeing shows and, well, all those things. I'm going to teach Joan how to do all of them when we get back to the world.
Jerry, you have made the commander very angry.
Oh, I can't help it. I had a hunch to say it, and I said it.
No, I am not angry. All my life I have been taught the stupidity of you worldlings and the brilliance of we Euclideans. Yet you are happy. You see pleasures and recreations worth living for. You feel the desire to live, even though... No, enough of this. You will forget that it has been said. Your lives depend upon your silence. Make no mistake about that.
Oh, yes, Commander. It is forgotten.
Yes, Commander. It's forgotten.
That is well. Now I return to my duty. The speakers will be turned on. You will preserve silence as we land this boat. And you will preserve silence in all matters.
You see, Jerry, it did no good. And now I feel that we have a definite enemy in the commander.
Well, don't you believe it. She told us to forget what we talked about. Swell, we'll forget it. But she won't.
Be quiet, Jerry. The tubes are beginning to glow in the central control section. The speakers are active.
Okay, but don't forget I told you so when we get a break from the girlfriend.
Position and speed, FE1.
Speed 2 knots, 125 yards due north, and Pier 5.
Good. Stop all power. Lay to. Allow boat to proceed slip 5 under own power. You, Hall, will come forward to my control section. Cleostra, you may come also.
Hurry, Paul.
Coming up. Come on, Joan. Snap into it.
What do you think the commander wants, Jerry?
Well, we'll find out in a minute.
You will sit here before the microphone hall. You there, Cleostra. I am going to give Johnson his exact orders regarding his landing. Also advise Captain Bradford on the yacht. It will be well to make the Johnson boat fast to the yacht. You will stand by, Hall, in the event that either Johnson or Bradford want confirmation from you.
Okay, go to it. Yes, Commander.
You are learning. Remember, silence when the red tube glows. You will call Johnson at once. Advise him to lay his boat in close to the yacht. They will be lashed together at once. That will provide for taking them both into the submarine lock in one movement in the event of another emergency.
Boy, you sure think, Commander.
Naturally. All Euclideans think. Immediately you advise Johnson, you will call Captain Bradford. Give him the same instructions regarding the disposition of Johnson's boat. Tell him to stand by to lash the boats together. That is all, Hall. Silence, Cleostra. Proceed.
J-12C. Jerry Hall on submarine to J-12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello, J-12. Emergency orders for you. Hello, J-12C. Orders from the submarine commander. Hello, Johnson. Hello.
It is possible he is saving his power to carry him into the anchorage. Raise Bradford. Give him the orders. He will be able to signal Johnson in ample time to warp the boat in properly.
Right. Jerry Hall to J24Y. Hello, Tex. Hall to Bradford. Can you get me? Answer quick.
Yes, Jerry, I got it. Heard you signal to Johnson. What are your orders about landing the boat? I'll take them here. See the boat plainly now through the aft port in this cabin. Haven't more than a minute or two before he will come in between the piers. Shoot it, kid.
Signal Johnson to come in hard against your starboard rail. Lash the two boats together immediately. Orders from the commander on this sub. Got it?
Yes, bring Johnson against starboard rail and make fast at once. Got it, Jerry. Are you coming in at once?
How about it, Commander?
If G47 has no other plans for you, you may report to Bradford when we dock.
The skipper... Oh, excuse me, Commander. The skipper says if G47 says okay, Joan and I can report to you as soon as we dock this sinking cigar.
Okay, son. I've got some news for you. Hurry it up. I'll run out on deck to handle Johnson's boat now.
Well, I guess that's all, isn't it, Commander?
Very well done, Hall. I will take over. S1 to G47. Commander S1 reporting the ES1.
Unnecessary. Heard your orders to Bradford. Johnson boat is safely within reach of island magnets. Proceed to your lock. Report to me at once. That is all.
Very well, G47. That is all. S1.
Gee, it's all over. In just a minute or two, those island magnets will pull Johnson's boat into the slip. Tex will make it fast to the yacht and... Oh, gee. I guess that's about the end of all our plans.
One moment, Hall. SE1.
Yes, Commander.
Full power tubes on. Proceed to lock at once.
Right. Power on. Proceed to lock.
Right. You will dock the ES1 on arrival. That is all.
Oh, Jerry, we're going to see Mother and the captain in a few minutes.
Yeah, and the captain said he had some news for us. I wonder what it could be.
I think I could tell you the news the captain has for you.
You could?
Yes, I am sure I could. And it is news that will shake the island of Euclidia when it reaches the attention of G47.
What is it, Commander?
I will not tell you.
But you said you could.
Precisely. I could, but I will not.
At last, the Gregory rescue boat has arrived at the Magic Island. Towed in by a Euclidean submarine, Johnson's boat has been left to shift for itself just outside the Pier 5 lock and is now being taken alongside Mrs. Gregory's yacht, noiselessly pulled through the water by the underwater magnets. Jerry and Joan are in the submarine which brought Johnson's boat in and are eagerly awaiting the chance to return to the yacht as soon as the submarine is safely in its underwater lock. On the deck of Mrs. Gregory's yacht, Captain Bradford, the skipper, and Mrs. Gregory stand ready to take a line from Johnson's boat and make it fast to the yacht.
Now, you just stand over there by the port rail, Pat. Keep your eye on the island for old G47. He'll come running over here to grab Johnson the minute we get his boat tied up. I'd like a few words with Johnson before that happens, if I can manage it.
I'll watch the island, Tex. I can see the whole pier from here. But I don't want to be too far off to meet Johnson when he steps over the rail. It's my boat, you know, dear, and Johnson's been pretty wonderful through all of this.
Yes, you're right, Pat. I'll stand here if you like, but keep a sharp eye along the pier.
I'll warn you if G47 comes along.
Skipper.
Aye.
You'd better come here with me and take Johnson's stern line. Hanson can handle that bow alone, but the wreckage of that mast
Left nothing here to make fast to. So we'll have to strong-arm the line here.
Aye.
We'll take your stern line here, Johnson.
Look lively. Here it comes, then.
Tex, that's McLeod. What will G47 say about this?
He doesn't know Johnson. If we have to, we'll introduce G47 to McLeod and tell him Mac is Johnson. Here, Skipper.
Aye.
I'll take a turn of this line here. You run the slack out of it and bend the end around something back there. Boat's making very little way. We'll lash her easy enough.
Hurry, Tex. Get Mac aboard here and talk to him quietly. G47 is coming along the pier now.
Right, Pat. Make it fast here, fore and aft. Snub those lines tight. Come aboard, Johnson, over the rail and snap it up.
I'll be with you this minute, Captain Bradford. My compliments, Mrs. Gregory, and your help.
Thanks, McLeod. Now, we've got to give you some quick orders. I'll go meet G47 and talk to him as long as I can before he gets here. Hurry, Tex. You'll only have a minute.
Now, listen, Mac. This may sound crazy to you, but I'll explain later. You're Johnson. Get it, Mac? You're Johnson.
Oh, that's what Johnson told me. Very good, then. I'm Johnson.
Good boy, Mac. And the reason you're Johnson is because you've got to meet a man right now. He's coming with Mrs. Gregory, and you've got to make him believe you're Johnson. Our lives depend on it. I'll explain it all later.
Well, what about my accent? I've been told I've got a bit of the healing on the tongue.
Well, have a sore throat. Anything. This man has heard Johnson's voice over the radio dozens of times. Now, don't talk much.
Right around behind this cabin, G47. Captain Bradford is talking to just Mr. Johnson.
I've got it, Mac. Listen. The oil fumes from the leaking tanks. Your throat. Hoarse.
I got you. I'll give you a full report later, Captain, when I get these oil fumes out of my throat.
There they are, G47. Oh, Tex.
Yes? Oh, yes, Pat. I was just telling Johnson we'd better put him to bed for a while and look after that throat. G47, let me present Mr. Johnson, skipper of this boat.
You have been expected, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do?
Your throat is bad.
Aye.
Oil fumes got him when he was fighting those leaky fuel tanks on his boat.
He need not speak. It is action I desire. That message, Mr. Johnson?
What message?
You know quite well. The message, Mr. Johnson.
I don't understand.
Oh, come on, Johnson. There's no use trying to bluff G47. He knows all about the message I sent with a pigeon and how much it means to us. He might as well give it to him.
No, Tex. Not that. Isn't there something we can do? Don't give it to him, Johnson.
But, Pat, we haven't got a chance anyway.
We'll have less with that message in G47's hands.
You have no chance under any conditions. Will you give me the message, or must I tear your boat apart to find it?
Come on, where is it, Johnson?
I have it here with me.
Well, then give it to him.
No, Tex, I won't
Quiet,
have it.
Pat. Why make things worse? Come on, hand it over to G47. Hurry up, Johnson.
There it is, then.
Johnson, you're choking your throat.
Yes, it may be serious. Well, you've got what you want, G47. You leave us alone for a few minutes so we can get this man into a cabin and look after him?
I will gladly leave you alone for the length of time it takes to work out the formula. Once I have it, then what I do will cease to interest you.
Come, Tex. Let's take Johnson into my cabin and see what we can do for his throat.
Your cabin's smashed with that mast. Come on, we'll go in the radio cabin.
That would be better. You're welcome to what is left of my yacht, Johnson.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
Stand by to watch those lines, Skipper. Make sure the crew of Johnson's boat have what they need. I'll turn out and help you look it over pretty soon.
Aye.
Look, Tex. There goes old G47, laughing to himself and trotting off down the pier.
Yes, he's got what he wants this time. Right in here, Johnson. Now, neither one of you say anything till I have a quick look at this cloth covering in the cabin. Sit over there, Mac. Pat, you sit there.
Yes.
Or you can keep a strict watch out that porthole along the pier.
All right.
Well, cloth seems all tight. I'll sit here where I can look out the other port and see the rail of Johnson's boat. Just in case some smart Euclidean takes a notion to do a little listening. Now, Mac, you can talk. Not too loud, but we're fairly safe in here.
This place must be as mad as Johnson said it was. What's all the cloth around the cabin?
That cloth is made here on this island. Without it, they could look right through the walls and see and hear all we're doing.
This is a fine how do you do. But tell me, you've got the pigeon all right?
Yes, and the message is safe. Tex memorized it and destroyed it.
Yes, and the bird almost got here too soon. The yacht had just come up when he arrived.
Come up? Come up from where?
We were submerged, down inside the island.
Submerged? Are you quite well, Mrs. Gregory?
I don't blame you, Mac. You didn't know this yacht was a submarine, did you?
What's it all about, Captain Bradford?
Well, you see, Mac, We were taken into a lock and submerged with the whole island when that fleet of battleships was maneuvering around here. But never mind about us. Tell us how Johnson managed to get away and where his radio signals have been coming from all this time. I'll see who it is. Remember your sore throat.
Yeah. Come in, Joan.
Where's Jerry?
Oh, Mother, dear.
Joan.
Oh, I am so happy to see you again.
And I'm happy to have you, my dear. Where's Jerry?
He was not allowed to come at this time.
What's the matter, Joan? Kid talk himself into trouble?
Oh, I think not, Captain. But G47 took him to the chemical laboratory. There is some important experiment going to be performed.
Yes, I'll say there is.
Yes, dear. G47 thinks he has Texas formula this time.
Yes. I saw your other boat. And, of course, Mr. Johnson is a prisoner. They got the formula from him?
They got what they think is a formula. And they got it from a man they think is Johnson. But it isn't, and he isn't.
I do not just understand that, Captain.
I don't blame you, dear. Tex certainly mixed it up. Oh, I'm sorry, Mac. Mr. McLeod, this is my daughter, Joan.
How do you do?
It's a pleasure, Miss Gregory. And your mother really found you here on this island.
Right, Mac. We've got what we came after. The thing now is how to get away.
Where is Mr. Johnson?
This is Mr. Johnson, dear.
But you just said he was Mr. McLeod.
That's who he is. But he's also Johnson as far as G47 and these Euclideans must find out. For just as long as we can keep it quiet.
I do not understand it at all, Captain.
Well, Joan, dear, a great many things have happened to us since you and Jerry went out on that submarine. But the most important of all was the arrival of a pigeon from Johnson's boat.
Oh, one of the little pigeons came here then? But how did it find the yacht? You were in the submerged lock then, were you not?
Yes, we were, until about a minute before the pigeon got here. And luckily for us, G47 wasn't around when the bird landed.
And was there a message on the pigeon, Captain?
Yes, Joe, a very important message. How far out was the boat when Johnson got the pigeon off, Mac?
About 150 miles, Captain.
Then he's too far away for these men to harm him now.
That he should be. It was a fast little boat he made the transfer to. And they ought to be many miles from here by now.
Then Mr. Johnson is not on his boat. Was not on it when the submarine towed it in here.
No, dear. Johnson transferred from his boat to another, which was passing. And for the last couple of hours, he's been running for Los Angeles at top speed.
Yes, you see, Joan, you and Jerry missed a few things by being in the submarine. When this yacht came out of the submerged lock, we saw the pigeon from Johnson's boat fluttering around trying to land. He got into the coat just as we reached the stern. The message said Johnson had transferred to another boat with a radio and would try to keep sending messages just as if he was on his own boat.
Then Johnson was gaining all the time it took to get his boat in here without G47 suspecting that anything was wrong.
Exactly, Joan. And to slow things up even more, Johnson pretended his fuel oil tanks were leaking and the boat would have to be slowly towed in here.
But the tanks were leaking. We followed the trail of oil with the submarine. There must have been hundreds of gallons of oil on the surface of the water.
Lassie. Hundreds of gallons there were. And it fair broke the heart of Angus MacLeod to open the valves and let it run away.
Oh, but that was very clever of you, Mr. MacLeod.
Now, Mac, listen. I think for the looks of the thing, it might be wise for you to go aboard the other boat. Make yourself look busy with the crew, you know, and you, Pat, might go with him.
Yes, Tex, I think that's a good idea. And I would really like to see the members of the crew and thank them for their fine efforts in our behalf.
Yes, I've got a few questions to ask Joan. She might have something we can work on after being in that submarine. After a few minutes, you come back, Pat.
All right.
We'll try to lay a new set of plans before G47 discovers that my formula is still safely beyond his reach.
Pardon, would we be shoving off then? I hope you can see your way clear out of all this, Captain. It's too mad a business for me.
I'll be right back, Tex. Oh, hello, Jerry.
Hello, Mrs. Gregory. I got some news for you.
Well, I've got to go over on the other boat with Mr. Johnson now, Jerry. You go on in with Tex and Joan. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. Hello, Johnson. Hey, Tex. Boy, oh, boy, have I got the news.
Yeah, we've got some for you, too, kid. See that man with Mrs. Gregory? He isn't Johnson. But G47 thinks it is. And Johnson's safely on his way back to Los Angeles on another boat.
Is that not wonderful, Jerry?
Yeah, swell.
Well, you don't seem much surprised, kid. I thought that'd be mighty big news to you.
It would be, if I hadn't figured it out already.
You what?
Yeah. You remember, Joan, that I told you that submarine commander was going to be on our side?
Yes, but I think you were mistaken, Jerry.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I got a minute to talk to her where nobody could hear us. And she said she had figured out that those last messages of Johnson's weren't coming from his boat at all.
You mean that woman commander knew that and kept it secret from G-47?
Yes, sir. And do you know what that means? It means that she's on our side. And with Johnson safely on his way back to Los Angeles and that girl helping us on the island, we're a cinch to get away from here.
Right, kid. Nothing can stop us now.
For many days, the Gregory yacht has been held captive in the slip between two of the piers on the strange Isle of Euclidia, the Magic Island. The rescue boat sailed from Los Angeles with Johnson in command and was prepared to aid in rescuing Mrs. Gregory and her party from the island. However, radio messages between this boat and the Gregory yacht were intercepted, and Johnson's boat captured and towed to the island by a Euclidean submarine. Johnson was not aboard, however, and now he is bound back to Los Angeles to prepare another rescue expedition. Jerry and Joan are getting some mysterious instructions from Captain Bradford in the radio cabin on the yacht.
We'll do it exactly like you tell it, Tex, won't we, Joan?
Certainly. You may depend on Jerry and me to carry out your instructions, Captain. Even if there were some little danger connected with it, it would still be better for Jerry and myself to attempt it, as Captain Bradford would excite more suspicion trying to gain admittance to the laboratory.
I suppose you're right, dear, but it all seems so wild and terrible.
Now, don't worry, Mrs. Gregory. Joan and I will bring home the bacon.
I know you will, kid. You and Joan can do the work of any two men I ever worked with. Now, listen. This thing isn't going to be difficult if you'll do exactly as I say.
Yes, Captain.
You and Jerry go over on the island. Start poking around in the corners and act curious. Don't get anyone too angry at you. But try to get yourselves taken to G-47's laboratory if you don't get invited there.
Well, Joan knows all the places where we can bump into somebody who will take us to G-47, so the old guy will bawl us out. Then we ought to be able to figure a way to stay in the laboratory and watch them finish working out the formula they got from Mac.
But if you are in the laboratory when the formula is completed, you will be in danger from the gas.
Not if they do as I tell them. Now, here is a lot of cotton soaked in a solution I made for the purpose. You can carry more than enough for both of you in your pocket, Jerry, and it'll stay wet enough for an hour or more. Now, if you're in the laboratory, when the gas floods the place, stick some of that cotton in your noses. Hold your mouths tight shut. Breathe a little through your noses if you have to. Be sure to fall with the others and act as they do. Then when they're all asleep, get out fast and close the door. Call the other Euclideans and tell them something has happened in the laboratory. Then you get back here to this boat.
Won't the gas affect their eyes, Tex?
Not in the slightest. Its only possible effect is in the lungs. The solution on the cotton will absorb all you could breathe of it for 3 minutes. 1 minute will give you more time than you need. That's all.
Oh, Joan, my dear, I'm so afraid for you.
There is nothing to fear. We will follow the captain's instructions.
Well, come on. Let's get going.
Good luck, kids.
Now where? You lead the way, Joan. You ought to know all the places where we can get into trouble on this funny island.
I will take you to several places where we should be stopped and taken before G-47 to explain our conduct.
Here we go again. I start to get the jitters every time I walk on the stone without making any noise.
We may get many of those jitters, as you call them, before this little task of ours is completed.
Oh, you think it's going to be tough, huh?
Tough?
I mean, we're going to have a hard time putting it over?
Precisely.
Now, what did I tell you about that precisely thing?
I will not say it again, Jerry, if you do not like it.
You know, Joan, you're about the swellest girl a fella ever had.
I like that, Jerry. I think you are a nice and clever boy.
That's what I like about you. You could see what a swell fellow I was right away.
Yes, Jerry, you make it very plain.
Yeah, huh? Oh, yeah. You mean it sticks out all over me. Well, you ain't so bad yourself.
Jerry, how often must I tell you that ain't is not correct?
I know all about it. Now let my manners and English alone and do something to help the plot along. Where can we get into trouble?
Right here, if you do not speak more quietly. Remember that the guard in the central control chamber is hearing all you say.
Yeah, that's right.
Then... Oh, Jerry, the elevator housing is rising out of the island. Someone is coming up.
Let's just stall along over to it. We might pick up some news along there.
I do not understand that stall. How is it possible to stall along? Is not a stall a small partition?
Yeah. A stall is where they keep horses in English, but it means to go slow in slang. Hey, look who's coming out of the elevator.
Why, Jerry, it is Commander S1.
Nobody else. My girlfriend from the submarine.
But, Jerry, you said...
Now, don't start to cry. I know I called her my girlfriend, but it don't mean a thing. She's coming this way.
I think it would be well to use care in addressing the commander.
Okay, I'll watch my step.
It is indeed an unexpected pleasure to meet you, my dear Cleostra. And as usual, you are, of course, searching for trouble.
How did you know that?
Your indiscreet companion attracts trouble as a magnet does metal.
Okay, Commander, have it your way.
What is this? No sparkling retort from you, Hall?
I've got nothing to say.
That is likely. But under ordinary conditions, you would be saying it.
Saying what?
Nothing.
Oh.
You will pardon me, Commander, but Jerry and I would like to look around on some of the lower levels of the island. Would you care to accompany us?
Hey, Joan, wait a minute.
Quiet, Jerry. I have asked the commander to accompany us if it is agreeable to her.
Well, maybe you know what you're doing. Go to it.
I will be quite willing to accompany you. I am free at the time, and it is highly possible I may be able to prevent your getting into trouble.
Yeah, that's just what I was afraid of.
Jerry!
Your remark confirms my suspicions, Hall. I shall accompany you. We will use the private submarine elevator. Follow me.
Now, look here, Joan. If this comes out wrong, it's your fault.
I feel as you say, Jerry. I have a bunch, and when
Hey, that's a hunch, not a bunch.
Of course, Jerry. Then I have a hunch.
Well, golly whiskers. So you've got a hunch, and you can use slang without choking on it. That's good enough for me.
You will enter.
Oh, hurry, Jerry.
Okay. In we go. Oh, this floor doesn't make any noise.
You must not pay any attention to Jerry, Commander. He is always looking for things which make noise.
Yeah, this island's too quiet for me.
I will take you where you may make a great deal of noise if you so desire. We will leave this car at the 5th floor.
That's where the main chemical laboratory is, isn't it?
Jerry.
Yes, the laboratory is there, as is this car. You may step out, Hall. And you, Cleostra?
Boy, that was service. 5 floors in about that many seconds and without a sound. Now where?
Follow me.
I know where we are going, I think, Jerry.
Where?
To the sound channel.
To the what?
Cleostra is correct. You wanted to make and hear noise. This chamber will give you ample opportunity.
What kind of a place is this? A special room for noise?
Precisely. We will enter here. Exercise caution in your voice and movements. The din will be terrific if you are careless.
There's more things on this island that do... Hey, listen to my voice. Gee, it sounds funny and loud, too.
I warned you to speak quietly.
This is the sound channel, Jerry, where all sounds are tested for their vibrations and penetrating qualities.
Here, for example, is a length of the Euclidean cloth with which you have lined your cabin. Put it over your head, wrap it tightly around your throat, then speak.
Hey, if this is a gag, I'll...
Try it, Jerry. I have done it before.
Okay. Well, how did it sound?
We could not understand your speech. The sound was barely audible.
Yes, Jerry. At a distance of a few feet, even that slight sound would not have been heard.
Well, I like it better this way. How am I doing?
Oh, Jerry, please. That makes such an awful noise.
This is the kind of a place I like, where you can hear all that's going on.
It is the only place on the island where nothing can be heard from without.
Jerry, the commander is right.
You mean this racket can't be heard out in the elevators or anywhere?
Precisely.
Then I can have all the fun I want to. Say it. Joan, that gives me an idea.
I had hoped it would.
You had, huh?
The commander is waiting for you to speak, Jerry.
On the level, Commander. Nothing we say can be heard in any other place on the island? Not by their instruments or anything?
That has been definitely established.
And you brought us to this room on purpose. You did it to give us a chance to talk.
Exactly.
Swell. But, well, what if G-47 finds out you brought us here? Won't that cause you a lot of trouble?
It would be very serious for the commander, Jerry.
But you brought us here anyhow. Well, Commander, I'm going to tell you something.
I might suggest that you hurry your remarks.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. G-47 has a formula he thinks is an important one of Captain Bradford's.
The universal solvent.
You knew that?
Sure she knew. I guess everybody on the island knows G-47's after that formula.
Correct. Proceed.
Well, this formula they've got is not the solvent, but it is a real formula. And when they put the last ingredient into it and get the solution exactly right, it will kind of blow up. And the room will be filled with a gas that will put everybody in the room to sleep for hours.
And your plan is?
Well, Joan and I want to be in that laboratory when the gas fills the room. Then when the Euclideans are all laid out, we'll run out and report to the other Euclideans. They'll rush in the room, and the gas will get them. It'll stay active in the big room for 24 hours.
And then? Then we will notify Captain Bradford and Mother on the yacht. And our party will take over the command of the island, and everything will be... Oh, Jerry, we've made a mistake. The commander...
Hey, look here, Commander. You're on our side, aren't you? Commander. The Commander. What makes you look so funny? Joan, this thing's going wrong. Don't let her out that door.
Silence. You two young fools need have no fear of me. I was merely thinking if I could plan your safety in that gas-filled room.
Hey, Joan, listen to that.
Yes, Jerry. Oh, you are wonderful, Commander.
Time will tell.
Well, don't worry about the gas for us. We've got some cotton soaked in a secret solution to stick in our noses so the gas won't hurt us.
Very well. I will take you to the laboratory at once. I will explain your presence by saying I found you spying in the outer chamber. Then I will remain with you as if to guard you. And when the gas has done its work, you may bring the captain to take over the control of Euclidia.
Oh, boy, that's swell. Here's some of the cotton. Stick it in your nose now and shove it up the nostril far enough so it won't be seen.
Prepare yourselves. I will not need the cotton.
But, Commander, you said that you would be in the room with us.
I shall.
Then the gas will put you to sleep. It might even hurt you. And, well, I'm not sure.
That is of no moment. You are in the right. The Euclideans are wrong. I can serve you best by posing as a loyal Euclidean, even to the point of allowing the gas to overcome me.
Down in the secret chambers of the magic isle of Euclidia, an important experiment is underway. G47 has a formula which he believes to be Captain Bradford's universal solvent, and all of the Euclidean scientists are gathered in the main chemical laboratory to see the formula completed, while down inside the island, on the same level with the laboratory, Jerry and Joan are completing their plans, with the help of the Euclidean submarine commander, who has been won over to the aid of the Gregory party. They are in the sound channel, the only really noisy room on the island.
Well, I guess we might as well go in the laboratory and get it over with.
Do you not think it is time to start now, Commander?
It would not be advisable to arrive at the laboratory prematurely. If it is possible to plan it so, I think it best that you arrive just before the formula reaches completion. Then the scientists will be so deeply interested in watching the compounding of it that they will ignore your presence.
But they will have to know of our presence, will they not?
Sure, Joan. How about it, Commander?
We have agreed that I will take you into the laboratory as my prisoners, whom I have found spying in the secret chambers. Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
If I arrive with you two just before the experiment is complete, G47 will merely order us to stand at one side and wait the result. He will be too deeply engrossed in his work to do otherwise.
That is right, Commander. But what if we arrive too early?
G47 would then have time to question me as to your activities in these chambers, and would undoubtedly send me to deliver you as prisoners to the confinement chambers. Then you would be helpless, and the experiment would be finished without your knowledge.
You're right, Commander. But how can we tell when to go in there? Captain Bradford said they might get the formula finished any time from a few minutes to an hour.
I will go now to the laboratory, ascertain the degree of progress on the experiment, and return for you.
Boy, that's swell.
We will all be very grateful to you, Commander.
Do not let your gratitude carry you away at this early date. Many things stand between this little plan and the overthrow of Euclidia. Remain in this room. Speak to no one. I will return in a few hundred seconds.
Jiminy crickets, Joan. The island must be falling to pieces. What a racket that was.
It was just the closing of the door as the commander went out.
But when we came in, that door didn't make a sound.
But that is not the door we came in through, Jerry. We entered through one of the noiseless doors. This one is an ordinary steel door that has not been treated with the noiseless paint.
Boy, this is sure some place. Let's look it over while we're waiting for the commander.
You must walk gently on many parts of this floor.
Why? Will I fall through?
Certainly not. But the noise will be so terrific you will give yourself a headache.
Well, I can stand a little noise for once. Come on. We'll walk around in here. Hey, I can't hear a sound from this floor.
If you will observe the color of the floor, you will see that the particular strip upon which we now move has been treated with a noiseless paint, while the next section, that strip running parallel to this one, is just the raw metal. Step gently onto it if you wish.
Okay, here goes. Golly whiskers, what a place. I guess I don't need the noise as bad as I thought I did. That's better.
You see, Jerry, wonderful things have been done on Euclidia.
I'll say they have. Look at that workbench and the bunch of tools they've got there. Would it be all right if I looked at them?
I see no reason why you should not. But be very careful to return each tool to its proper place.
Oh, I'll watch it. These hammers look just like regular ones.
Some of them are. You will notice that some of the hammers are painted with a red coloring matter. Those are noiseless. The gray metal ones are ordinary hammers.
And some of those nails are colored, too. Are they noiseless?
Yes, Jerry. You may use that piece of discarded wood on the floor. Drive the various nails into it if it will furnish you with any amusement.
Oh, I know. You think I've got to have something to play with all the time. Well, don't forget, this is all new to me. And when I get you back to the world, I'll show you a few things that'll, well, you'll want to stay and play with all day, too.
I understand that, Jerry. I merely wanted you to know that I appreciated your interest in these things.
You do all right in politics, Joan. Well, here goes. I'm going to drive a regular nail into this board with a regular hammer. Jumping, gee whiz. Did it make all that noise when I laid that little stick on that workbench?
Yes, Jerry. That portion of the bench and the piece of wood you chose have been made deliberately more resonant.
Giggling goldfish. Where's a quiet place on here and a quiet piece of wood?
Place that dark wood on the red-colored section of the bench.
Okay. There it is. Hey, not a sound.
Now, if you take one of the colored nails and a noiseless hammer, you may drive the nail in that wood with very little sound.
Well, I'll try it. It's a good trick even if it doesn't work. Gee whiz. That big spike went right through that board without making a bit of noise.
I think you would enjoy the noiseless saw also.
Huh? Noiseless saw?
Yes, Jerry. It is over here in the corner. Come right here beside me and you will be able to operate it.
Hey, your voice. Mine, too. They've lost that funny sound.
This corner of the room is soundproof, Jerry. Now, there is the saw. You start the motor, so...
That motor doesn't make a sound. Now, can I run a board through that saw?
You may.
This colored piece is one of the noiseless ones, huh?
That is right.
Well, here goes, then. Well, what do you think of that? The saw just eats its way right through that heavy board without a bit of noise. I'll bet Captain Bradford would like to get his hands on that formula.
Formula? Jerry, that reminds me the commander should be back by this time.
Oh, yeah. I hope she didn't get herself into any trouble trying to help us.
I think the commander would be too clever for that. But she is also too clever for you and me, Jerry.
What do you mean?
She could deceive us very easily and be telling G-47 all of the captain's plans.
You don't really think she'd do that, do you?
We learn our lessons well on Euclidia, Jerry. It is a school of fear, and one not easily broken away from.
But you got away from it easy enough. Just as soon as you heard your mother and the rest of us talking about, a few of the things in our world, you figured out that this isle wasn't so hot after all.
That is true, Jerry, but I have my mother. She will take me to her beautiful home in California. The commander has no reason to leave here.
Well, suppose she does give us away. We couldn't be any worse off than we are now. All prisoners on this island with no chance of getting away until Johnson goes to Los Angeles and comes back. And G-47's got a good chance to fix it so he won't ever come back. What's the difference, Joan? We're sunk anyhow. We might as well put up a fight for it.
I like you when you speak like that, Jerry. You are a brave, loyal boy. I think you are very fine.
Oh, kind of waking up, aren't you? You'll appreciate me someday.
Oh, here is the commander, Jerry. We must go to meet her.
She's got about as much expression on her face as a wooden Indian. You can't tell whether she's got good news or bad.
The time has come for us to repair to the laboratory. The experiment is nearing completion.
Oh, that's swell, Commander. Does G-47 know we're around here?
Your presence in the lower levels has naturally been reported. But fortunately, I have been sent to find you.
When do we go?
Immediately. First, let me give you a few brief instructions.
Of course, Commander.
Shoot?
Under no conditions.
Huh?
You must not even display a weapon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commander. I didn't really mean to shoot. That means go ahead with your story.
I must have a translation of your complete vocabulary at another time. Now we will enter the laboratory and remain just within the door. Even if our presence is observed, we will probably be ignored. However, should G47 have time to question us, remain silent. I will explain how I found you and brought you to the chambers.
I think that is a splendid plan. Do you not, Jerry?
Well, let's get going.
Precisely. Follow me. You will follow me?
But what are you going to do with us?
That will be decided by G47. I will take you to him at once.
But we were not doing anything harmful, Commander. I was merely showing the sound channel to Jerry.
The extent of your misdemeanor will be decided by G47.
I see you have them with you, Commander.
I was ordered to take them before G47. Will you accompany me? This young fool Hall may become obstinate. He has more courage than brains.
I will accompany you. G47 made it quite plain that this boy and girl were not to be harmed. So you would find your ray gun useless. I can use force if necessary. G47 will question them immediately upon our arrival.
Hey, look here, you two. We haven't done anything wrong.
That is correct. Jerry and I were simply looking at the strange devices in the sound channel.
Nevertheless, you are on the lower levels without permission. Is that not so?
Well, yeah, that's right.
Then you must explain to G47. Silence. We enter the laboratory.
Gee, I thought the laboratory would be another of those silent rooms.
It is not silence for the benefit of many experiments which deal with sound. Normal hearing is indispensable.
Should I report our presence to G47?
It is not necessary. We are observed.
G47 is coming toward us now, Jerry. Say nothing to make him angry.
Then I can't say anything. That guy hates me for saying good morning.
Excellent work, Commander. You have brought them just in time. The work on the captain's formula is within seconds of completion.
I will take them to the confinement cells if you wish it.
No. I want them here. Bradford is a very clever man. It is entirely possible that he may have planned a little surprise for us at the completion of the formula. It will be well to have two of his friends near me at that time.
What do you mean, G47?
If anything unpleasant were to happen, it might lessen the captain's enjoyment to know that you too, young fool, had received a portion of the treatment.
You are wanted at the table, G47.
Yes. Come with me, you two. Over here, quickly.
Is that the stuff there?
Precisely. It has reached the boiling point. The process should be complete any second.
I'm sleepy, Jerry.
Joan.